Does the U.S. military have captured alien prisoners? Turns out that UFO Retrieval Program means extraterrestrials are shot down, captured, interrogated, tortured, and imprisoned. Let's hope for UFO disclosure in 2025 and perhaps open extraterrestrial contact in 2026. Stay tuned for the whole video. I'm going to go through a few different points to talk about what is really going on and some changes in my understandings of current human extraterrestrial interactions. Welcome. If you're new to the Thunder Wizard YouTube channel, this is the official gathering place for all 5D star seeds and light workers. If you appreciate these videos, go check out thunderwizard.com, my Patreon site. You can get access to the most powerful, energetic, meditative practices in human history. If you want to read my books on my personal extensive experiences with extraterrestrials, go to michaelwilliamdenny.com and look for my books there. If you want to support the channel directly, go to support.thunderwizard.com and follow the instructions. Most importantly, please show up every Wednesday and Saturday evening at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time for a live streamed, free, guided interdimensional meditation, the most powerful thing we can do to help shift this world to a higher frequency. All right, so it turns out that I didn't have all the facts about the most recent interview with the most recent UFO disclosure witness, whistleblower, I forget his name, Jake something or other. Anyway, I had made a video directly after watching that, and I made a few educated guesses, and a couple of them were wrong. And so I want to clarify those, and I will when we get deeper into it. So it's now 12:15 Eastern Time. So we have a new president and a new administration, and there are rumors that this new administration is going to do a lot of reform, including a lot more hearings with whistleblowers and protection for whistleblowers. So the question is whether or not we're going to get the ability to have full, complete disclosure. And I'm going to tell you what full, complete disclosure really means. Because the truth is we already have disclosure, but it's not completely truthful. What I found interesting as I was watching the live stream, I was getting ready to make this video, and I said, I wonder when Trump is going to get inaugurated. And I clicked on, some live YouTube video, and sure enough, I was just, it was 11:57, and it turns out he was just getting ready to take the oath. So I watched that just so that I could know, okay, we now have a new president. He survived, and now we're going to see what happens. According to him, on day one, he's going to make a bunch of executive orders, and I'm very interested to see what happens. So far, I have to say that he's like he did last time. He's delivered on a lot of things he didn't even talk about. I find it very interesting, very coincidental and convenient that the Hamas hostages were released yesterday, the day before Trump takes office. It's pretty obvious that he had a lot of influence in that, and so we'll see what happens. I'm very interested to see it. Of course, my pet project is I want to see full disclosure. I want it yesterday. What I found interesting is in the live stream of that during the inauguration, I would say probably 20% of the comments that were coming in live stream were asking for UFO disclosure. And I found that really interesting. So this is something that everybody's aware of and a lot of people want. This is a subject people want to know about. So I tried to do some damage control yesterday on Jake Barber's whistleblower interview, and I gave you my opinions on that again. But it turns out there's some things that I made a couple of misjudgments about, and one of them was I was criticizing Jake's psionic CE5 team where they were summoning a craft. And, there's a guy in there and he's got, earphones on and his eyes are covered and he's in some kind of meditative state. And apparently he had taken over, like he had psychically taken over a ship, an extraterrestrial ship. And then there was some kind of UFO dogfight in the sky and all of that. And I thought what was going on was that they were doing, a really, complicated CE5 version, and they had summoned a ship, because that summoning means, you're inviting somebody to come. And what it really was, it was a hostile takeover of a ship. And it turns out that dogfight was actually human UAP trying to shoot down the ship that this guy was summoning. And so that turns out to be, more of a violent thing. And I was angered that, this is some guy, this is a whistleblower, and he's still doing this kind of, really aggressive theft of an ET ship, and he thinks he's doing CE5, and that angered me. I don't think he means, I don't think that he's insincere. I just think he doesn't understand everything that's supposed to be going on here. And the other thing that I was turned out to be wrong about, and I'll put a link below to Dr. Greer's latest podcast where he explains in detail, and I was educated by watching that. But I was wrong because I made the assumption that the summoning of an extraterrestrial craft is actually, the ETs were allowing this to happen. And so it was more like they're gifting us this craft for some reason. When he talked about the 8 gong, I called it an 8 ball. I was wrong. It's an 8 gong. It's, 8-sided ET craft. Makes me think of the Thunder Wheel. Find that interesting as well. In any case, but turns out that this is actually a form of warfare from humans to extraterrestrials, where humans have now become so dangerous that they've gotten to the point where they can actually use psychic abilities to hijack, to steal extraterrestrial craft. And and that means bring down both the craft and the occupants within. I didn't say it in the video that I made, but I was going to make the conclusion when Jake was talking about when he recovered the 8 gong extraterrestrial craft, and he felt perhaps the being inside the craft. The being inside the craft, and he mentioned there was great sadness as well as this joy and this love. And I was going to say, because my assumption was that this was not, I have my experience of ETs. To me, they're very powerful, and I can't imagine anybody being able to overtake them in any way, especially from a psychic perspective. So I had assumed that what he was feeling was some intelligence that was connected to the craft, perhaps, in another ship or maybe even on another planet, was communicating to him. And the sadness I was assuming was his, because that was my experience. My experience was when I felt the intense love, when I first made contact with this gentleman here. When I felt the level of love, I was in tears. And so there was incredible sadness, incredible, had feelings of shame, but it was really just old wounds that were coming to the surface because I was in the presence of a much higher frequency and a great deal of love. So I was assuming that that's what was happening to him. But my thought process now is that what had happened is that he was retrieving a craft that had been hijacked using psionics. So it was a military aggressive theft of an extraterrestrial craft, and there was a being inside. If he's accurate, there was a feminine being inside that most likely he was delivering to, and this makes me very angry to think about this, he was delivering that craft with a being inside who was very likely, if she is still alive, she's a prisoner, and who knows what is being done to her. So I wanted to, whenever I'm wrong, I admit it. Turns out, according to Dr. Greer's understanding, I was wrong about that. So let's get into it. Let's get into what all of this means. So, and let me say, before we go any further, let me give you my definition of full disclosure. Full UFO disclosure isn't just UFOs exist, extraterrestrials exist. Full disclosure is really that human beings have been at war with extraterrestrial civilizations who are here to help us, who have been here to help us, and human beings that, the dark force plutocrat elites who are narcissistic, sociopaths, psychopaths, who are only interested in power and enslavement of others. They have been psychopathically at war with peaceful beings that have acted like guides and angels to human beings throughout our existence. And now, our thanks to them is we evolve, and then we figure out ways to go to war with them and take them captive, steal from them, and in many cases kill them. So full disclosure would be, first and foremost, I would like that the unlike what many ufologists believe, that the government is in league with certain alien races, which is not true. That has never been the case. Never. And I'm willing to be wrong about that, but I'm almost certain that I'm completely correct about that. There has never been any governmental alliance with any extraterrestrial civilization. And I know that personally because I've interacted with more extraterrestrial civilizations and races than I can count. And I can tell you that there's no fragmentation up there. Not only that, one of my first encounters was with these councils. So, the first one that I was aware of that was a council was called the Council of Nine. That's how they called themselves, and they were all different races. And I was new to all of it, so it was kind of shocking to see. In my mind's eye, I can see in front of me like this parade of different species. There was at least one of them that looked human. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if it was a human. I believe very strongly that there are humans that are in a higher frequency, and so, I've been told in my astral form, I've been told that I'm a member of these councils as well. That UFO myth that there's this schism between extraterrestrials and they're battling each other for control of the galaxy and all that is pure, complete nonsense. It is either somebody's imagination, their projection, it is an outright lie, or it is people conflating the truth. Ufologists want to believe so badly whatever they're told that they believe whatever they're told. And I'm of the the school that you should have personal experience. You should be doing CE5 on a regular basis so that you have personal experience. Don't take my word for anything. Great thing is that when people do these practices, they end up having the same kinds of experiences unique to them that I'm talking about. So I'm not worried about anything. I don't have anything to hide. I don't need to be right or any of that. So please don't take my word for anything. Listen to what I say and then go find out for yourself. And at the same time, do not believe whatever you're told. Just because you saw it on a YouTube channel, or you saw it on a podcast, or you saw it on the History Channel or National Geographic, please, or News Nation, please have more maturity than just to believe whatever the hell you're told. I don't believe whatever I'm told. I'm only interested in what I can experience. My experience tells me exactly what I've been hearing from Dr. Greer. So that's why I listen to him, because I know I can tell when somebody's had a real experience. I can tell. So what was I saying? So there's new details emerge about UFO Retrieval Program. So what I was going to say is that real UAP disclosure starts with the revelation that the elite human beings, secret, organized, transnational crime organizations that have infiltrated the military and the government, as well as all of the business world, that this group of people have been actively engaged in warfare against extraterrestrials, shooting them down and stealing their technology, reverse engineering it for their own benefit, all kinds of stuff that we have. Guess where that came from? The stuff that they make money off of. I don't like having to have this phone. I don't like having, I don't like being monitored. I know this phone is monitoring me and listening to everything I say. I know that anytime I go to a store and buy something, I know it's immediately sending information to other places, who knows where, because when I show back up and I watch my smart TV, or I come back on to my my internet browser, I'm immediately thrown up ads about something that I mentioned out loud or that I bought from a store. So I've never liked having this stuff, but I can't not have that and function in society. When I was living in Australia, you had to have, by law, you had to have a phone during COVID if you wanted to go anywhere. If you wanted to go to a restaurant, they wouldn't let you in a restaurant unless you used your phone to have this app record where you were at what time, just in case somebody within a mile radius might have had COVID symptoms or might have come in contact with somebody who had COVID. They can track you down and put you in a COVID prison. That's what was going on, in case you didn't want to know. That's the kind of stuff that was going on in Australia during COVID. So these things this was originally a military tool. And then when the forces that be realized not only can they make a ton of money because you'll get addicted to it, but then they can use it to monitor you. And now you can't function without it. I can't go to my gym without it. If I try to go to my gym and I don't have an app, right? Everything has to have a freaking app. So this comes from the result of reverse engineering what extraterrestrials have. So that's the first thing. Real disclosure is talking about the war. The second thing, the most important thing along with that, is the fake alien abduction. That alien abductions is a psyop, and it's been done since before I was born. The first publicized alien abduction was the Betty and Barney Hill abduction. And if people know the generalities of it, and they use it to say, see, this has been going on, and look at the details of it. These beings were so stupid they didn't know what dentures were. These were just idiots trying to figure out, how can we pretend to be aliens? What is a denture? What are teeth? I mean, they were complete idiots. And then, you find out the experiments they were doing were so incredibly primitive. When Betty Hill was being tested for pregnancy, they were using this huge needle, and they were taking out, the aliens were taking out amniotic fluid. And, does that make sense? Some being thousands, millions of billions of years ahead of us that can travel from Zeta Reticuli are coming, and they don't have the ability to see if you're pregnant just by scanning you. They have to stick a needle in you. Nobody thinks about this kind of stuff. And I could go, the fact that implants, in the 80s were these big, huge, clunky things. And now humans can create nanotech implants. And why we're not going back and going, wait a minute, but those implant stories of alien abductions back in the 80s, that doesn't make a lot of sense. Does it sound more like humans trying to experiment and figure things out, or does it sound like an advanced race of aliens? Come on, wake up. So I want that to be revealed, that the alien abductions is a psyop that has been going so that they could experiment on humans, steal their genetic material, actively be part of a human extraterrestrial hybridization program, and do it without being seen, and at the same time, do it covertly. Where do you think that came from? I think it came from that PSYOP program. I want that to be revealed. I want the whistleblower interviews to be done live, the congressional whistleblower interviews to be done live with the evidence that we have. Again, if you believe that you want to know, if you believe that you're interested in this subject and you haven't gone and scoured Dr. Greer's archive website, I'll put a link below. If you haven't done that, you aren't serious about knowing the truth. And I get really annoyed. I got another one recently. People want to talk about how they don't trust Dr. Greer. Tell me why. Why don't you trust him? Show one thing that he's done. They'll point out a mistake that he made where he had somebody on one of his films who turns out to be a CIA plant. All right, so he made a mistake. Does that mean that he's a liar? People say that he's a charlatan and that he's a grifter. Tell me how he's a grifter. And, why is it that people want to listen to David Grush, but they don't want to go and scour the over 750 whistleblowers that Dr. Greer has on his team, and the thousands and thousands of documents that you can find on the archive that show proof and evidence? Why people don't do that? I'll tell you why. Because most people don't want to know the truth. They want to be lied to, and they want to be trapped in the 3D fear narrative. And because the ufology crowd has been infiltrated and is run by CIA shills who give you half-truths. That's why disclosure is already here. But it's designed to get you frightened about extraterrestrials. I talked last time in the last video about how this latest News Nation, which I was afraid was going to happen. Turns out I was right. This News Nation disclosure interview, it was edited in such a way where you conflated, if you weren't paying attention, because that's what happened to me when I watched it. What? It sounds like he's saying very clearly that this beautiful experience with the hijacked extraterrestrial craft, that gave him that was deadly to him. And then they had this fake CIA doctor in there talking about how, so alien technology can be very damaging to you and all this nonsense. And you're being lied to. So they're telling you the truth, and then they're just giving you just enough truth so that they can throw the lies in there to fill you full of fear. So I want that real evidence. I want those 750 whistleblowers that are there that can't come out because they've been threatened, their lives have been threatened. I want them to be able to come out publicly and in front of Congress live, televised live, unedited. And I want them to be given presidential protection so that they will not be, and that NDAs won't be enforced if the programs are illegal. We deserve that. That's what I want. All right, so here's the details that are emerging about the so-called UFO Retrieval Program, which again is not UFO retrieval. It is a euphemism for UFO theft, capture. It's gangland stuff. It's the mafia taking, the other guys hostage and stealing their stuff. So, we are in a 24/7 human military operation to shoot down extraterrestrial craft, and then we retrieve them. So retrieval means to hunt down and capture extraterrestrials and their technology. So there are extraterrestrials. This part is very, very difficult for me to even think about. And who knows how long they've been there? Decades, perhaps. But there are extraterrestrials that are alive, that are being held captive. We're all bent out of shape, and, there's some reason for that. We're bent out of shape about the Hamas hostages, but we're not bent out of shape over the extraterrestrial people who are being held captive against their will, being experimented on, being interrogated and tortured, imprisoned. That doesn't bother us. This needs to come out. That's what, disclosure means. To disclosure this part of it. You can tell I'm very emotional about it, because this is my family. And it's infuriating me to hear about this. So, why does the military admit to reverse engineering technology? Why do they admit that? This is what they're presenting as David Grush and Lou Elizondo. They're presenting this as disclosure. Why do they want that? Because they want you to have just enough information so that they can then manipulate that information to get what they want. And the whole point is to get you frightened. So they tell you that these exist. If they're allowed to, here's what I think they will do with this. So first part of the PSYOP, as I've said, is to pretend like they don't want you to know. And then they send out these trained or MK Ultra'd CIA shills who come out and tell you half-truths, that there is a UFO retrieval program, which means we sit around and hope that that extraterrestrials forget how to drive and they crash, and then we rush out there to get the technology and we bring it back. But we are damaged, we are hurt by this. They attack us, they hurt us, they're evil and dangerous, so we don't want to frighten you, so we don't tell you about it. And we reverse engineer. They're going to say, yes, we have been reverse engineering this so that we can combat these evil beings that are trying to invade us. And now that we have reverse engineered our own UAP army, we're going to go out and fight them. And then, that's what they want. So they're giving you just enough information to get you afraid. But here's where they're screwing up. They're screwing up because just releasing that is making the average person who has no interest or desire about knowing anything outside of 3D. They're not interested in knowing if ETs exist. Most people just want to be able to make money, pay their bills, have kids, ride their jet skis, and have fun and drink on the weekends and watch UFC. That's all that they want. So these people are now being made to be aware that, wait a second, what? The government, the military, is trying to tell me that there's extraterrestrials? What, and they're transdimensional? What? They're not listening to the fact that you're supposed to be afraid of that. They're just like blown away that it even exists. That's going to make them start thinking about themselves, their reality, what's going on with the world. So the demand that I saw on the live stream today of people demanding UFO disclosure, part of that is part of the PSYOP, to get you to demand that the government tell you the truth. And of course, they're going to tell you the truth, the sanitized half-truth that they want you to believe. But it's going to backfire on them because they don't have the control over the world that they had planned. Since 9/11, if not long before that, 9/11, the whole PSYOP was to get such complete control over all information that you get that they could completely control the information that you receive. They can't do that anymore. You know, even though, you know, YouTube censors a lot of stuff, it doesn't censor out a lot of things. And X doesn't censor things out. And, you know, they got rid of TikTok. It's ridiculous. But, you know, they don't have the ability to censor like they thought. So if they had their way, the world would be completely censored, and then they could roll this out and make it sound like, oh yes, you caught us. Yes, we have reverse engineered extraterrestrial craft, but we're doing that to protect you. We didn't want to frighten you, but now the threat is so grave, they're coming for us. That's what they want you to believe, and that's going to backfire on them. So that's why the military is admitting and pretending they're not admitting it, but they are admitting it, to reverse engineering ET tech. So the summoning of ET craft is not peaceful CE5. I was wrong about that. I already talked about that. It's saddening and surprising to me that humans have that ability. My experience of extraterrestrials, you know, is a direct connection to, you know, beings going all the way up to what we would call deities. So from my perspective, it's easy for me to see them as these omnipotent, all-powerful beings that are, you know, that are untouchable. But it turns out that's not accurate. That's my misunderstanding, and that saddens me greatly to think that people are using their God-given human psychic abilities to attack our spirit family. And what I want to hopefully, you know, get out to people, because if you understand this, then this changes everything. To understand that this earth is a community experiment. It is the community of conscious beings in multiple dimensions, in multiple civilizations. And so Earth isn't just our little thing, and these are just beings from other places, that they're aliens, they're foreigners coming. All of these aliens, their civilizations, they were part of a desire to create a specific three-dimensional Earth experiment of consciousness. And every human that is incarnated here has been part of that experiment in another reality before they incarnated. So it's not like they're coming and checking us out. Oh, who are these? Let's study these humans. Oh, we're friendly, but they're not just friendly foreigners studying us. They are us. And they have as much right to be here as we do. And it has been their job. That's why they have been seen as angels and guides, you know, in history before we could understand, you know, extraterrestrial craft, you know, all that kind of stuff, because they've been here. They have volunteered to come here. We have asked them to be here. They are family members. You've interacted with them. You've incarnated with them in different places on different levels. So this idea that we have to make peace with these foreigners is, you know, even the way Dr. Greer presents it sometimes, which I know has to be presented that way because that's the average human can only understand it like that because they haven't had the spiritual awakening to what our connection really is to consciousness outside of this world and what this world is. But that needs to happen. That needs to happen. When that happens, everything will change. This whole society will completely, totally get flipped in a positive way. All right, so summoning ET craft is not peaceful CE5. This info must be released publicly in Congress. What can we do to stop this? You know, the capture, the torture, the interrogation, the imprisonment, the dissection, there's stuff going on I'm not going to talk about. It's so gruesome. You can look it up in Dr. Greer's stuff, but the stuff that they're doing is just so horrifically gruesome. It's more horrible than anything we've seen in any horror movies. And the level of sociopathy and psychopathy is extremely disturbing from humans. So what can we do to stop it? I wish I had the karma to go toe to toe with them. I wish I want so badly. I would love to get these people on the other side of a witness stand. I would love to just, but I'm not allowed to do that in this life. That's been made very clear to me. I'm not allowed to interact with anybody on that level. What I am allowed to do are these live guided interdimensional meditations, and I struggle to accept what the light beings continue to tell me, which is that is the single most powerful thing that is happening, that the shift that is happening on this earth is being driven by the energy that we give to the world in these meditations. And it's okay, I originally, when they showed me what this was, how powerful it was, and that it was my job to initiate this, I was imagining we would have millions of people meditating, and it would be the numbers of people that would do it, and I've come to find out that's not what's going on. That the people who have been drawn to this channel and drawn to my work and are drawn to these meditations, that these are also extremely powerful starseeds, if you will, who have come into manifestation to use their powers here on earth, their meditative powers here on earth, to shift. So if you're doing these meditations, you're one of those people. And it means that, joking around in one of the most recent Zoom groups that I have, you can go, if you want to become a part of that, go to thunderwizard.com and subscribe to the live Zoom group. We were joking around that, we're like the Avengers. There's only so many of them. There's not like 100 million Avengers. There's 5 or 6 or 7 or however many of there are. There's not a lot of them, but they're extremely powerful and very unique. And I've come to believe that I'm one of those people, and that people who are drawn to this and doing these meditations are also. So, if you think you're an Avenger, come and join us. And it doesn't, I don't have any ego about this, because what I want to do is I want to stand face to face and go toe to toe with these people. And I'm not allowed to do that in this life, based on what happened in, the whole Atlantis past life thing I've shared with you guys. I'm not allowed to do that. It's not my karma in this life. But we can. If you want to know what we can do, this is one thing we can do. You can do other stuff as well, like write to your congressman, all of that. But I don't think there's anything more powerful than these meditations, at least those of us that are destined to be doing it. So I invite you to come be part of that. I think that's all on my list. All right, so that's it. I just wanted to share that with you. Again, if you like what we're doing on this channel, you can click the $sign below. Listen, I'm like everybody else. I'm struggling to put food on the table, and I'm thinking every month about, am I going to make it to the next month? So if you're getting something out of these videos, I'd be very grateful if you supported the channel. The best way to support the channel is to go to thunderwizard.com and subscribe. It's the regular subscriptions that I really depend on. So I recommend subscribing at the Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong, or become part of the live Zoom group. Those regular subscriptions is what keeps me going. I'm thinking of making some guided videos, which I'll put in the shop. I'm thinking about doing that, and that'll be another thing in case you're waiting around. I've done everything. You got more stuff for me. I'll come up with some more products to put in the shop at thunderwizard.com. Anyway, you can also just go to support.thunderwizard.com if you want to support me directly without taxes, and you can follow the instructions there. All right, that's it, my friends. Thank you so much. I wish you all the best. I'll see you in a couple of days, and congratulations to us. We have a new administration and a new president, and although it is yet to be seen what he will do, I at least have some hope. I have some hope that there's a possibility that things might really start changing from today, according to him. He promised from day one he's going to start signing some executive orders, so I'm looking forward to seeing that. So that's it, my friends. I love you all. Please be very good to yourselves and stay safe, and I will see you all very soon.